Jimmy Swaggart and Ahmed Didat, rahimahullah. Great. A lot of people have seen that. Great. Now, who mopped up the floor with who in that debate?
Ahmed Didat.
Ahmed Didat, right? And who? Ahmed Didat, right? He cleaned up the house, right? Now, what would you say, for the new people, what would you say if I told you there is a church that mass produces that debate without editing, and they pass it out to their congregation in church? New people, tell me, why would they do that? Why on earth would they do that? Yes, sir?
They're a proselytizing church. They send people out from their church.
Yeah, but why would they give them that debate where their guy's being destroyed? Yes, sir? Sorry?
Apparently, Ahmed Didat didn't seem at his best, or he had something in his.
Okay, very good. Yes?
So that they can learn from the debate.
Possibly, but that wasn't the case. Yes? But actually, he gave the right answer, but go ahead.
Do you want to show that Muslims are just debatable people or something?
I mean, you could have been right, but that's not why. He already gave the right answer, but your hand was still up. Go ahead. I want to give everyone a chance. Now?
From their point of view, they won.
Exactly. That's what the brother said. You're just putting in different wording. That's what happened. In their mind, their guy won.
Really?
Yes. Can you believe that? How did I get to this point so quick? Usually I discuss it on another slide, but let's just do it here. Their guy won. It's under the dome section. There we go. We'll just do both now. Don't start attacking. Don't start being aggressive. Now sometimes people read that slide and say, oh, you're saying Ahmed Didat rahimahullah was aggressive. No, I'm not saying that. Look, they thought their guy won. Why? Because it was a debate. It was a debate context. They don't hear the arguments of Ahmed Didat rahimahullah. They hear their guy winning, because when there's a debate or something aggressive or an argument, people put a mental block and they don't hear what you say. You see? And now, with that being said, I have to clarify. The debate has its place in Islam, but it's not the norm. You understand? There's a place for debate in Islam, but it's not the norm. And a lot of times people think that's the norm, that you start debating. A lot of people take the workshop and then I see them give da'wah. They just try to make the person uncomfortable and paint them into a corner. What about this verse, this chapter, that? Does not contradict what you just said. And this verse in this chapter contradicts both these verses and contradicts you as well. That's not the point. Most people, wallahi, they think that's the case, that they are going to choke and choke and choke the life out of the person, and before they die they're going to say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. It's not how it is. What is it? I mean, da'wah comes from tad'u, to invite. So if it's an invitation, it has to be nice and gentle. One more time, let me say it. There's a place for debates in Islam, but it's not the norm. When you encounter someone, it's not a debate, it's an invitation. So, think of this da'wah from tad'u, or to invite to Allah. Now, if you invite someone to your house, is it going to be a fight, or is it going to be something nice? And when's the last time somebody grabbed you by the shirt and said, listen, you, 8 o'clock my house, biryani. Wallahi, if you don't come. Has anyone ever invited you like that? Like ikhwan, an invitation, a da'wah is an invitation. So it can't be a fight. And so many times because of the success of the debate, they think the norm is to debate. And so they spend their time memorizing this verse and that verse so they can tackle it and make you and choke the life out of the other person. No. It's a nice and gentle invitation. So, there is a time in Islam for debate. It's not the norm. But scholars recognize there is a time when you have to debate. But it's not how you go around every day trying to debate. So people become defensive. Now let's go back to where we were. We said that because people think of debate context, they don't listen. So how do you get people to listen? Very simple concept of reciprocity. We come to it a lot of times. It's always there in human communication. That to get people to listen to you, all you have to do is show them that you're listening to them. That's it. So to show them that you're listening, this is what you do. As they're talking, you're nodding. Right? Obviously you suspend all activity. And if someone's talking to me and I keep writing, now what if I stop writing and I pay attention to them? And as they're talking, I'm nodding. Yes, I'm following you. Using open gestures. Like, if I stand like this, even if I smile, it still looks a little threatening. So Use open gestures. Lean forward. And if someone's talking to you about religion and you're just like this, it's different. What if I lean forward like this and I'm nodding and I'm paying attention? Maintain eye contact, but don't stare at them too hard. Don't stare them down, because it's very hard on people when you stare them down. People become very uncomfortable. Don't stare anyone down. So what's the solution? They tell you, obviously, if a man talking to a man or a woman talking to a woman, you go between looking at them in the eyes, and then they say, the shirt here, or this button like there, the second button, or over their shoulder. So you go between shoulder, eyes, or button, eyes, and they feel that you're generally looking at them, but you're not staring them down. With women, and if a man talking to a woman, or a woman talking to a non-Muslim man, they do understand the concept of lowering the gaze. They do understand that. It's not like they're totally oblivious to that concept. They are aware of it. And sometimes you run into those people who want you to look them in the eye. What are you going to do, right? So you're going to look over their shoulder maybe or something. And maybe every now and then you're going to run into those women that says, hey buddy, up here, So what are you going to do? But for the most part they understand it. And I'm sparing you the stories, but generally there's a woman, this guy gave her dawah for 2 hours. She wanted to marry this Muslim guy, so he invited her to Islam for 2 hours. He spoke to her, obviously with people there. When he left, she cried. She said, I've spoken to religious people of every faith, and they all look at me, and they look at my beauty, or they ogle me, they stare at me. She said, this man never, ever once raised his eyes to look at me. She was very moved by that. She knew that he respected her. She didn't study about lowering the gaze and read the ayah. She knew it. So obviously the opposite sex, you would not, stare or you try to lower your gaze. So the way to get people to listen to you is you listen, show them that you're listening to them. And they will reciprocate, and they will say, no, he was listening to me, I will listen to them. Now I always say that the time some Mormons came to my house, and as I was talking to them, they kept flipping through they weren't listening to me, they were just flipping through the Bible, preparing their next argument. And I noticed that, and I remember catching it, and I said to myself, oh, you're not listening to me? We'll see if I listen to them when it's their turn to speak. When they were speaking, I didn't even care what they were. I was just going through my books, preparing my next argument. You think we're going to move forward? Probably not. So, listen. Number 12, listen. And you know what? Most people don't listen. If you pay attention to it, you'll see that I'm speaking the truth. Most people, I'm talking Muslims, non-Muslims, your friends, most people do not listen. Most people are poor listeners. You don't believe me? Don't worry about it. Pay attention to it. Pay attention to it during lunch. You will see that people don't really listen very well. And especially, they don't hear it. Sometimes people ask you a question, they don't listen to your answer. And one of the ways you know people aren't listening to you, when your sentence ends, theirs is beginning immediately. You were just waiting for you to shut your mouth, basically. Not paying attention. You pay attention to it, you'll see. Very few people listen. And I also say this, I missed it in a few slides before, very few people smile. I'm talking about Muslims. Very few people smile. Pay attention to it, people. Pay attention to it. And I'm talking about good Muslims, in the masjid, with the toothstick, with everything. They don't smile. Don't believe me? Wait till you go to Isha prayer, and notice how many people will smile at you at the masjid. They will say all the nice things to you, but without a smile. Barakallahu feek, Jazakallah khair, but they don't smile. Pay attention to it. Every time you smile, you get a reward. You see 50 people a day, 20 people a day, 10 people a day, and you smile, you get 10 rewards. Multiply that by 365 days of the year, you multiply that if you live up to 50 or 60 or 70 years old, you've got a mountain of good deeds. Prophet said, do not belittle, do not belittle any of the good deeds. It adds up. And وَتَبَسُّمُكَ فِي وَجْهِ أَخِيكَ صَدَقَةً. And your smile in the face of your brother is a sadaqah. So pay attention to that. Okay? Pay attention. People don't smile and they don't listen. You'll see. Okay. I'm going to skip this because I'm going to come back to it under a different category. Okay? Don't make anyone feel dumb. Every question is a good question, right? And even they tell you, you've got examples there. avoid. So sometimes the obstacle is another human being who wants to make problems, noise. Your partner can save the day when it comes to that. I think I always tell the story about the lady in D.C. And basically, I found this guy with a very serene, calm look on his face. So I came to him, started to give him da'wah. This old lady came out of her house. She saw us in these white robes. She said, "Oh, you're the guys who don't believe in the Lord Jesus Christ." And she started saying, "The Lord taught me how to dance," and she started dancing. So now I don't have time for that, obviously. So my partner immediately knew what